CG Spotlights. My name is Liz Schwab. I am the host of this show where I just bring on incredible artists and talk about their creative passions and just yap about how they got in the industry and where they are now and all the things that they love about being a 3D artist. This week I am bringing on Jackson Lukas. He is a very talented grooming artist. He was previously at Dreamworks and Framestore. Now he is at Blizzard Entertainment. He is so amazing at his craft. He is currently an instructor at Gnomon School of Visual Effects, Games and Animation, which is where I met him. I was one of his students and learned so much in that class. It was one of my absolute favorite classes of all time. He is a great artist and a great person overall, and I'm so excited for you guys to watch this interview. As always, thank you for watching, and here we go. Hi, Jackson. How are you today?
Hi, Liz. I'm good.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. We'll just start the interview off. Do you want to talk a little bit about who you are, what you're doing in the industry? Right now.
Yeah, not too much. I'm a kind of generalist because I have a background in architecture, and my students they're so tickled by this, so I'll say it. But my undergraduate is actually in philosophy, and I studied a lot of Buddhism. I never say this, but the students they pried this out of me last class. I lived abroad for a while. So I lived in Japan for a bit and India for a bit, which was really fun. And then I went to do my master's in architecture. And then I went to this school called SciArc. So it's a very digital program. So everything was done on the computer. And then in the last year or so of that, we were only working in Maya. Actually, like half of my education was in Maya. So yeah, and I learned everything there. I learned in a very hacky kind of slapdash Wild West way. Like I learned surfacing and modeling and all of these things, but not at all through the regular avenues. But then there was one instructor who wanted to do classes in hair and combine it with architecture because it's all very speculative. The programs that really speculative digital architecture. And once I learned hair in CG, I was like, oh my God, how do I just continue to do this forever? And of course, I love animation. I love all Disney movies and Pixar movies and DreamWorks movies. I love all of those kind of things. So I've just been trying to combine my interest in that, my interest in CG, my love of hair, which I first developed. We were using XGen at the time, into being what I now know is a groomer. I didn't know at the time, like, who are these people who do hair? What are they called? So I was working at Framestore. I was working at other studios like who do VR and other experiential stuff. I had a few really weird gigs thrown in there, and then I worked at DreamWorks for 3 years, which was great, and now I'm at Blizzard.
Do you ever wish you could do more architectural stuff, or are you just so in love with doing your
Oh man,
just your track?
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be architecture, it would be art history. But I've had ideas to make procedural buildings in Houdini. I don't know if it would be useful for the architecture field, but yeah, I've thought about that. But I don't know, Liz, because I feel right now I'm very comfortable where I am in my skill set, and I don't really want to leave unless I'm absolutely forced to. Like I just got to Blizzard. I don't want to do something else.
Yeah, no. That's like these are good. What was, I guess, then like the biggest like learning curve going from architecture into grooming?
No, just learning how to do things properly.
Yeah.
Mm.
In regards to like pipeline work or like just process of actually creating a groom?
Oh, all of that. We are all somewhat asked to contribute to this. If not contribute, at least understand it how your work has to fit into it, even if you've already been there for a while. I mean, I didn't learn anything properly, like in the way that you guys learn things. And I say this to my students, and I don't want to patronize you guys, but I feel like you guys really learn very well how to do things. It's great. If you have to teach yourself, oh my God, you have to learn how to do things the right way or a better way eventually. Also, just learning Houdini. Like I think that's challenging for anyone who has a background in Maya or something like this to then get into the Houdini mindset. How often do you use ChatGPT for self-learning?
Rarely. I used it. What was I doing the other day? I've used it more to like describe code to me recently.
Mhm.
Trying to get a
Yeah.
little bit more into like Python and stuff. I'm not like too reliant yet. Have you been using it for certain softwares or anything like that? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot to teach myself some things or just ask strategies. Like even if you ask a question about Houdini, I have this problem, how would you solve it?
Yeah.
There's like, okay, try to think about it this way, and you can ask it to do that. Or just any chat bot,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
suppose, is the same. And then and then there's also like click this button, put down this node. Sometimes that works. Not always. There's big gaps in knowledge. Like it'll say, open this node, look at this setting, and do that, and this just setting isn't there. So I don't know how it's anyway. So it's just wrong, but it's fine. And then, but the important thing is that it gives you a better way of thinking about a problem, I suppose, and then you can imagine the solution. And then you can press it a little bit more, or press yourself, or press the person next to you.
It's like using a sounding board right now, honestly. It's like just like it's like just something to like throw your ideas at or like what you're thinking and just trying to see whatever comes back
How often do you catch yourself like using your parents as a soundboard for CG stuff?
all the time. No, it's my mom particularly. I'll just start talking. Like I'm like, I have a problem and you're not gonna understand any of it. But word vomit, it's all out there now, and then I can like fizzle through it.
Thanks, Mom. You helped me figure it out.
Yeah.
Liz, I don't understand. Jack, I have no idea what you said. I'm doing something else right now.
Would you rather groom humans or animals?
Animals.
Rather work on live action or stylized?
Stylized.
Movies or TV shows?
Movies.
What's your favorite movie?
First thing that popped to my head is Frozen 2. Let's
Okay.
just leave it at that.
That's
It's
the movie that got me into doing CG. Fun fact.
brilliant.
Houdini or Maya?
Oh, Houdini.
Yeti or X-Gen?
Mm, X-Gen. But there's a longer explanation.
Okay. X-Gen or Houdini?
Oh, Houdini.
What is the most difficult groom you've made?
Lion. Lion was hard.
That one
Lion.
was good though. I remember that one. I remember seeing that and being like flabbergasted by it. Would you rather model or texture?
Mm, I'd rather texture now, but I'd rather learn modeling now.
Oh, interesting. If you had to do any other part of the pipeline other than being a hair effects artist, what would you do?
I would write pipeline.
Ooh, okay.
It is so fascinating.
Do you have a harder time grooming curly hair or straight hair?
Oh, straight hair for sure.
Actually, I
Yeah.
think he's saying something on one of your posts. Oh, I can remember this. It was one of your chaos theory. Was it Brooklyn? Was that the
Yeah.
girl with the teal purple hair?
Yeah.
That one's one of my favorites you've done. I loved that one when I saw
Aw,
that.
shucks.
That was really good. That one was really good. Uh-huh.
I like that too. That took a while.
What is the main difference you find when you're starting a groom for something that's stylized versus something that's not? Like, what are you keeping in mind? Let's leave between the two.
Hmm. Okay, stylized usually comes with a like modeled hair.
Okay.
So I'm usually using those hair meshes to get curves.
Okay.
And then whatever the result is, it has to kind of match the model because it's already been approved by somebody. So
Mhm.
they're anticipating that the hair is going to look like that. So that's a stylized thing. And then sometimes with realistic animals, especially, you just start with nothing. Of, of course, you start with a mesh
Mhm.
and maybe a texture map, and you have to get into it from there. Same thing with a human. You just start with you know, a human in T-pose or something like that.
When you are creating a groom or a piece, are you typically the one who helps bring it into CFX and work on it after the groom has been finished in T-pose, or do you kind of just leave it to another artist and let them handle it from there?
I think you have to stay with the hair for more than the life of just the groom. Let's just say
Okay.
that. Yeah. But it depends on the studio's workflow.
Okay.
I imagine some places just there's a hair team, they make the hair, they pass it on, and they may be asked to make little revisions. Then there's teams that the groomer is part of multiple departments. Like they're part of the servicing department, and then, you know, whatever comes after that. And they have to stay with the hair for more of its life.
What's your like favorite stage of creating a groom?
Doing attribute painting and remapping, organizing them into different um, values that you need and different um, just different attributes, like one for density or like initial density, one for final density, one for clumping density, one for frizz, another for length, all those kind of things, and how those interact and remap and how that organization kind of like um, shakes out. And then, because that's for me most of the work, because I still love to hand paint those things. I know you can generate those in a lot of different ways. Um, that's another favorite part is like you have the eyes of the character on the mesh or, other clothing or things like that. So you can take those things and transfer an attribute from those meshes to the skin, and then from that you can derive a density map to say like, okay, don't grow any hair where the clothes are, those kind of things. So I love finding new things like that and then building those into a tool, and then like other people can use those or something. So what do you think is the most rewarding part for you? Because you've done a bit of everything then. I mean, your projects are like the bedroom project, that's a really hefty shot.
I think I find the most joy making small props. I think adding little details and like story to like something that's like kind of more like minute and scene. I think that's
Hmm.
where I find my joy. I like doing like more asset work. But really like just storytelling in general. Like if I can, especially when I'm doing just like a single shot, like there's no camera movement, there's not like a sequence. It's just like this shot has to tell you a story. I love stuff like that. Just being able to kind of like, I don't know, play with expression and like the placement of things and composition, how your eye's gonna move through the scene. Like that's, yeah, that brings me a lot of joy when it all just comes together and it feels whole. Yeah.
I mean, I don't usually think of myself as an artist
Mm.
in such conceptual, like, I want this shot to tell this kind of story. I want to elicit this kind of feeling or something. I mean, I've thought about those things, but I've never gone about work like that. It's more for me, like, how do I build this tool?
Right.
I think it's an interesting debate. It's like kind of the thing that we would have in architecture, like, um, what is the boundary between the architectural qualities in a building and the artistic qualities? Is
Uh,
Frank Gehry more of an artist or an architect?
ooh, that's a
There's no right answer. Or maybe someone thinks there's no, it's just kind of food for debate. It's to instigate and flirt with these topics to try to have an interesting conversation. Or let me just ask you, like, do you think of yourself or the things that we do as being more of a production artist, technical artist? Do you make these distinctions? Do you care about these kind of topics, or like this is all just semantic nonsense?
I think I think it varies for me, like project to project. And I think the divide for me is when I'm creating a piece that's more personal or more of like something I've created versus like copying somebody else's concept and trying to create that in 3D. I think for like the kid scene that we talked about or the raccoons I did in your class, like those were close to me because I kind of created a story that I wanted to tell. So it felt more like I had this like artistic vision for it. It felt more creative. It felt more like this is me and I'm showing, especially the kids piece because that's based off me and my siblings and it's like all the props in there are like from our childhood. Like that was like my life, you know. I did an environment my last term at Gnomon that was based off somebody else's matte painting and I was so disconnected from it the whole time I was making it. Which wasn't like a problem. Like it was done, and it was like a lot of people like that one. It's one of my least favorite projects I've created. It's probably the project that's gotten me the most work since graduating.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I just don't have any tie to it. Like if I lost all the footage for it and I never had to put it in my reel again, I would be fine. Um, so yeah, I think for me, it's more of like an
Oh,
emotional creative tie than like um yeah, I think that's the difference between whether I feel like I'm an artist in it or not is like, is this from me or is this just me putting my head down and working, you know? One more question.
sure.
Um, very general. Any advice for emerging artists in the industry that you have right now?
Okay. This is recent.
Okay.
Um, I made a pretty big mistake, but it's only in retrospect that I've realized it. So, if you're looking for a job, I I have a Google Doc. When I left DreamWorks, I started 2 months before I left DreamWorks, so that was in October or something, and I ended the document in October when I joined Blizzard. Every day, I wrote on the document like, I'm gonna reach out to these people. I'm going to apply to these gigs. I'm gonna reconnect with this thing that I lost connection with. I'm gonna do these things and blah blah blah. And then some days I skipped, but some days it's like I applied to 10 different things or 15 different things or reached out to these people. And I would write who I connected with and if they wrote me back. And I tailored my Gmail to make filters and stuff it's the freelance game.
Yeah.
And in the end, I applied for modeling gigs, surfacing gigs, lighting gigs, plenty of grooming gigs, gigs overseas in Canada, gigs in Australia, uh, just all over the place. And in the end, the job that I wound up getting is the thing that I was most qualified for and right here. And all of the other things I didn't have any chance of getting, even though I'm a generalist. And if I had those like 8 months back, I would have just learned new stuff because you have to write a cover letter, you have to tailor the cover letter, you have to do stuff. You have to use time to apply to that thing. And you're not going to get it if your pitch is to say, "Oh, can I work from America?" No. So that's a waste of time. I'm being harsh, but I made this mistake as like just a few months ago. So you really have to focus on what you think you can get. If you know, for instance, you want to stay in LA and the job's in Canada and it says on site, just don't do it. Take time to learn a different skill, like learn Unreal or make a new piece. Just grow your stuff. I could give advice and it could be wrong, but I would say people are obsessed with Unreal out in the industry. Definitely know it. Um, and make a project in it and make an environment in it, make a character in it. Studios are using it for film and TV and all kinds of stuff. You can absolutely not go wrong learning that thing.
Thank you so much for coming on and chatting and just being great. This is
Thanks for
super.
chatting with me.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited to edit this and show this to the world of CG spotlights.
Oh, thanks.
Well,
It's good stuff. Keep doing it. Keep doing this. It's great.
thank you so much.
Nice.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay.